Yam Shaivam Samupasate Shivaiti Brahmeti Vedanti no Buddha Buddhaiti Pramana Pachava Karteti Nayayikaha Aranyatata Jaina Shasanarata Karmeti Mimamsakaha Suayambo Vidadatu Vanchita Phalam Trilokanato Hari. May the Lord of the universe, the remover of evil, whom the devotees of Shiva worship as Shiva, the Vedantists as Brahman, the Buddhists as Buddha, and we may add the Christians as the Father in heaven, the Jews as Jehovah, the Muslims as Allah, the followers of Nyaya philosophy who were clever in logic as the divine agent, those devoted to the Jaina doctrines as Arhat, the ritualists of the Mimamsa school of karma, grant us all the desires of our hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. This morning our subject is Thoughts on the Gita, part 113. We are studying 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is called Purushottama Yoga, the way to the Supreme Spirit or the Supreme Self. According to Shankara, this small chapter with 20 verses is the quintessence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Purushottama. It is very important for us to know that the meaning of that word. We came from that Purushottama, we shall go back to Purushottama. Who is this Purushottama? Purusha means Puri Shete iti Purusha. Puri means city, cavity. In the city, in the cavity of our heart, the person who dwells, that person is Purusha. Who dwells there? The Atman. Consciousness. Sometimes I give this illustration. Here are 4 billion cups of water. And here is the sun. What do you see? You see 4 billion reflected suns. So all these human beings are reflected gods. But we are unaware of it. We don't know ourselves. Purushottama. Purusha. This Purusha has 3 rooms in this body, 3 houses. And it travels from one to the other. The gross body, that is one house of the Purusha. Sitting in that house, this Purusha, Jivatma, enjoys this world. Then it moves to the next house, dream stage. There, the Purusha enjoys this world through the mind. Through the mind they enjoy, not through the senses. Brihadaranyaka say, na tatra rathavan, ra ratha yogan. Suppose we are going to, through dream I am going to New York, seeing my friends, going to a restaurant. Who creates all these things? Mind. Dream. The third house is deep sleep. Purusha remains awake, but it is in deep sleep. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, they gave a beautiful analogy. Here is a big river, and here is a big fish. That fish sometimes this side of the river, sometimes in the middle of the river, sometimes the other side of the river. So the fish rotates through these three states, waking, dreaming, and sleeping. That we are doing. Last, maybe we may live 100 years. These 100 years we are continuously traveling these three places. No stop. That is this world we live in. When this grows, body dies. The Atman does not die. Jivatma remains. Who made these three rooms? Maya. That we are going to talk about today. First, we shall talk a little bit more about Purushottama. It is very, very important to know this Purushottama, because we must know the relationship with us with this Purushottama. The Bhagavatam says, Vadanti tat tattvavidha tattam yaj jnanam addayam brahmeti parametmi bhagavaniti kaitati shabdate, sorry. The knowers of God, knowers of Brahman, they know this non-dual knowledge, that knowledge of oneness, knowledge of unity, is the truth. Brahman. It is called, some people call it Brahman. They know, the followers of path of knowledge call this truth Brahman. The yogis call it Paramatma. And the devotees call the same thing as Bhagavan, God. In the Upanishad, we find some contradictory remarks. Shagun Brahman, Nirgun Brahman. Shagun Brahman, Sarva Kama, Sarva Gandha, he is all, everything is Brahman. Sarvam Khalvedam Brahma. Again, in the Upanishad, they find Asthula, Ananu, Arasam, Adirgama, Shuklama, Krishnam. But there are 22 negative words have been used to point out that Brahman. Neti, neti, not this, not this. So we see the description of the Shagun Brahman, we see the description of the Nirgun Brahman. Devabo Brahmana Rupe Murtancha Murtamcha Murta Amurta Brahman. God with Brahman with form, Brahman formless. This we find in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Now, very interesting, that how these two things can exist simultaneously in the same entity. I shall tell you a very interesting story. In the Ramayana, we find a beautiful story. When Rama and Lakshmana were tied by the Nagpash, the snake weapon, and they cannot move. So Rama remembered Garuda, his carrier in heaven. Garuda came and all snakes ran away and released Rama. Then Garuda was asking, Lord, you left heaven for a long time. I want to see your Vishnu form. I don't like to see your Rama form. Rama says, I can show my Vishnu form, but my problem is Hanuman. Hanuman is so devoted to this pond, I cannot do anything because, believe, Lord, let me exchange my wings. You come within my wings and show me your Vishnu form. So he opened the wings and Rama took the form of Vishnu. Then you know what Hanuman said? Sinate Janakinate Avedo Paramatmani Tatavi Mama Sarvasya Rama Kamalalochana. I know the Srinath, the Lord of Shri, means Lakshmi, is Vishnu. And the Lord, the husband of Sita, is Rama. Abhedo Paramatmani, both are the same. Tatavi Mama Sarvasya Rama Kamal. But my chosen deity is Rama. That is called Ishtanistha, steadfast devotion to the Ishta. It is a beautiful story. You know, one should be very devoted to one's Ishta. Now, what is this Purushottama? In many places in Gita, Krishna says, I am the doer, and again he says, I do not do anything. Sometimes he says, these all beings are within me. Sometimes I am not, I am separated from them. So we find sometimes these contradictory statements of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and we get confused. In that respect, we will have to understand about the mystery of the Purushottama. Purushottama is God, is Brahman, is Atman, he is Shagun Brahman, he is Nirgun Brahman, he is the creator, preserver, destroyer of the universe, he is the Sharbhara, he is the Maheshwara, he is the supreme lord of this whole universe. Again, he is Nirbishesh Nirgun Brahman. Those who know this Purushottama, he knows everything. I shall speak more about this Purushottama. In the Sutra, in the Brahma Samhita, there is a mantra, Ishara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anade Radhe Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. I sometimes repeat this verse. Sri Krishna is Anadi, beginningless. Sarvadi, it is the beginning of everything. He is the cause of all causes. He is Govinda, who is the controller of all the senses. Parameshwar, Supreme God, Satchidananda Vigraha, is the embodiment of existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Sri Ramakrishna reconciled. He says, in the Purana, we find Satchidananda Krishna. In Tantra, we find Satchidananda Shiva. In Vedanta, we find Satchidananda Brahma. All three are one. Purushottama, those the bhakti, the devotional school, they really understand this, what is this Purushottama. In the Gita, several places we find this word has been used, Purushottama. For example, in the 10th chapter, verse 15, Krishna says, Arjuna says, Swameva Atman Atmanam Vettatam Purushottama. He Purushottama, only you know about yourself. Him quite often used to mention, I have a letter of him, there he quoted this line referring to Sri Ramakrishna. Only Ramakrishna knows who he is. We do not know. Only God knows who he is. Then in the 11th chapter, Krishna Arjuna also says, Drustumicchami te rupam Vishwaram Purushottama, e Purushottama. I want to see your cosmic form. If you think I am fit to say it, Ei Purushottama, who is he? The Udhibhuta is called, you remember in the 13th chapter we read Kshara, Akshara. Kshara means manifested universe and all these beings. This cosmic universe and all beings is called Kshara. Kshara means changing reality. It is true, but it continuously changes. Akshara means unchanging reality. Changing reality is full of multiplicity. Unchanging reality is unity. This multiplicity, unity combined is Purushottama. In this chapter, toward the end, it will say that I am separate from Kshara, the changing world, and I am above the Akshara, unchanging world. I am Purushottama. Kshara, if you know this manifested universe and all these things, do you know what? That is Gujja. It is very profound truth. When you experience that God dwells in all beings in this whole universe, that is profound truth. More profound truth is Akshara, Nirgun Brahman. More profound. And Purushottama is most profound. Gujjatamam Shastram. Toward the end of this chapter, Krishna will tell us. It is Gujjatamam Shastram. Very few people understand this Purushottama. Khanjana Bhava Bandhana Jagabandhana Bandhana Niranjana Narurupada Nirguna. Chit Ghanokai. Swamiji used that word. Chit Ghanokai. Meaning his body is full of consciousness. At that time he is Chinmoyi Manashi Tonu. His human form, but full of God consciousness, saturated with consciousness. Purushottama. We can call the Purushottama, this avatar is Purushottama. God in human form. He is finite, infinite, and more. And combined of both. Amazing this mystery of the Purushottama. So we'll have to know this Purushottama. Now we shall start our Gita. We finished last two verses. The first two verses, sorry. They speak of an eternal Ashwata, rooted above and branching below, whose leaves are the Vedas. One knows it, is a Veda knower. Below and above spread its branches, which are nourished by the gunas, and which have sense objects as its buds. And below, in the human world, stretch forth the roots originating action. These are the first two verses. Krishna started to speak about that Ashwata tree. It is a mysterious tree. Generally, tree, we understand the root is below and the branches, everything above. But this tree is topsy-turvy, upside down. Its root above, branches below. That root is connected with God, Purushottama. From Brahman, this whole creation came. And this tree is a very, 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 very mysterious tree. Shankara says, Shapno, first. Morichi Udaka, second. Maya Gandharva Nagara, third. Drishta Nashta Sharupa. The moment you see it, it goes away. First example, this world is a dream. As Swamiji says, if you want to dream, dream the higher dream that I am free. That is also dream. This world we are seeing, it is nothing but a dream. What do you mean by dream? I remember the German Greek philosopher, he maintained his philosophy, this world is a dream. So his disciples wanted to give him a lesson. They tied his legs and pulled on the street, and his body was cuts and bruises. And the disciples asked Diogenes, do you still hold the view that the world is a dream? Of course I do, but it is a painful dream. This world is a really painful dream. So dream is real as long as we are seeing it. As long as I am seeing the dream is real. But the moment sleep breaks, the dream goes away. There is nothing there. Second example, Morichi Udaka. Morichi means desert. Mirage. In the desert, we see the mirage, we think there is water there. When you go near that place, you see there is no water. It is the sun reflecting on the sand that creates that illusion that there is water. That is called Morichi Udaka. Not real, but you can see it. Then Maya Gandharva Nagara, castle in the air. Drishta Nashta Sharupa. The moment you see it, it goes away. So this is our human life, look. Those things may be momentary, maybe 100 years we are seeing my family, my body, my senses, all these things, my center, all these things. Psh. After 100 years, nothing is there. You know, sometimes I think each person has his own world. Husband has his own world, wife has his own world, the children have their own world. We enter this world with our personal worlds. I remember a funny story. Once a jackal was carried away by the current of the river, and the jackal was shouting, the world is sinking, drowning this world. So a philosopher grabbed the jackal and said, what is the matter? Why do you say the world is sinking, drowning? But that is true. I am my own world. If I am drowned, if I am gone, the world is gone. Each person has his own world. We come with our own karma. And you depart from this world, we shall talk about it. What goes with us. Sometimes I think this world is just like vacation village that I saw in Laguna Beach. Vacation village, holiday inn, very temporary. We are in this world. That is the reason Swamiji sang that song to Sri Ramakrishna during his first meeting. Man chalo nije nikotane, samsara videshe videshi raveshe, brahmokano karone. Oh my mind, go to an abode. Why are you roaming in this foreign land aimlessly? Go to your own abode. This world is a very, very temporary place. Then comes three kinds of philosophy. They scrutinize this world. The first school says Srishti Drishti Bhada. The world exists, so we see. Who created this world? God. Can you destroy this world? No. But I can destroy my world. I cannot destroy St. Louis, but I cannot destroy myself. That is called Srishti Drishti Vada. The world exists, so I see. That is for the ordinary students. They know the world is real. The second school says Drishti Srishti Vada. That one is Srishti Drishti Vada, and this one is Drishti Srishti Vada. I see, so the world exists. If I do not see, the world does not exist. You know, sometimes we can banish people from our minds. I don't want to think about you. That means you are dead from me. That is called Drishti Srishti Vada. This chair exists because I see, because this chair exists. If I do not see, this chair does not exist. It is I, what I am projecting. This is for the second group of followers of Vedanta. The third group is Ajatavada, Gaudavada. Ajatavada says, the world does not exist at all. It is not born. Brahman. This world, everything is Brahman. There is no world. That school is the top. They vanish the creation. Brahman alone. That we experience during deep samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. Anyhow, these three schools represented the world from their stand of view, from their standpoint. Now, verse 3. Na rupamaisyeha tato upalibhyati nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha asvattamena subiryudha moolam asanga shastrena didena chitva. Its form is not here perceived as such, neither its end, nor its origin, nor its existence. Having cut asunder this firm-rooted asvattha with the strong axe of non-attachment. Oisya means this tree. His form is not perceived. But I see the world, you see this is not perceived. But that is true. It is not perceived. It has no adi, no beginning, no end, nothing in the middle. Asvattamenam subida, this tree of Asvattha tree. We'll have to cut it. How to cut it? Krishna mentions, takes this sharp weapon of renunciation and chop it off. You know, Shastra means weapon, but some people translated it as axe. In our village, I remember, if it is a tree, only the axe can cut it. We did not have any chainsaw. But Americans have great advantage. They have a chainsaw. They can cut this big tree. Woo. In no time, they can cut all these big, big trees. Chainsaw. So we need a powerful chainsaw to cut this Maya. How? I remember it was in 1955. I went to see P.C. Sharkar's Magic in New Empire Theatre in Calcutta. I was in third year college. I saw that, he put one girl in a wooden box, and he had a chainsaw. And he took a piece of wood and showed that how he cut it, how sharp it is. And then he cut the whole box and divided it. After 4 or 5 minutes, one girl came from the back, from the audience. Hi, I am here. We spent money to buy that expensive ticket to see that magic performance. We knew that girl would not be cut, but we paid money for that. That is called Maya, magic. Shalavanisha. God is a great magician. Kshetra Upanishad says. It is, the whole world is nothing but is magic. Magic show. Well, Swami, it is so real to us. Ashattamenam shubhiyushra moolam. Very difficult to cut this tree. When I Shubhira Moolam, do you know how do I look at it? I saw that big banyan tree in the botanical garden in Calcutta, Shibpur. It has many artificial aerial roots. They grab the earth, and these big trees supported by those roots. How many will you cut? It reminds me another incident. My friend took me to an English movie. That is the first time I saw an English movie in 1959. I wanted to see 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne's, that Captain Nemo, that famous, very famous movie. It was made by the Disney. And I saw the octopus. That how this octopus, many fangs, are grabbing our desires are like octopus. We are grabbing this world with all of our attachments. So we need a sharp weapon to cut those desires, those attachments. This attachment is terrible. Only non-attachment can cut the attachment. Attachment. Avadhuta has 24 gurus. One of them was a couple of pigeons. The husband and wife went to bring some food for their children, and when they came back, they found a hunter trapped all their children in a net. So those they jumped to rescue their children, and they are caught. So Abhidita came and told the pigeon that you are my guru. I learned a great lesson from you. Your attachment for the children brought death to you. Attachment. We see this story of attachment in the Chonji. King Shurath went to that sage who was banished from his kingdom. His wife betrayed, and ministers took away his kingdom. And he came to the sage and said, they betrayed me, took away my everything, and I am thinking about my wife. They betrayed me. They threw me out. And I am thinking whether my elephants are getting food, my horses, and all these things I'm thinking sitting in the forest. That is called attachment. The sage, worship the Divine Mother. She only can cut this attachment. Some people have tremendous attachment for money. I love that Dalai Lama saying, people make money ruining their health, and they spend that money to preserve their health in old age. Attachment for money. Shh. I met a very rich woman, no children. She told me, Swami, my relatives are waiting to have my money, but I decided to distribute my money according to my wish. And she did. Attachment. So we'll have to cut this attachment. Non-attachment. Seeing mother's attachment for Radhu, Sambhaji said, Mother, you have so much attachment. What to do? I'm a human being, Mother was trying to tell the devotees. Mother, it is Maya. Well, of course, it is Maya. Mohamaya or Maya. I am the Mohamaya. I created this Maya, so that I can keep my mind in this world to serve people. Otherwise my mind will go up. I shall have to depart from this world soon. Of course, mother's attachment and our attachment are not the same. A woman a widow, came to Sri Ramakrishna. And you see, Master, I have so much attachment for my nephew. I cannot keep my mind in God. Master says, think of that nephew as baby Krishna. Transform it. This is the way you can get rid of attachment. I'm attached to this person, switch it to someone else. Switching, that is the way you can get rid of that intense desire for that person or the place or the thing. Switch. Some people remove their attachment through action. If you do not think that that thing is dead from you, how to remove that thoughts from the mind? That is the mystery. That is the secret. Attachment. This weapon should be sharpened. By how? Through discrimination. You see, if you continuously cut the tree, it will be dull. So time to time you will have to sharpen. You know, when we read these verses of the Gita, we see that how Krishna is giving very practical lessons, how to do it. This is the way. Renunciation. There is a beautiful story of Bhartrihari. Bhartrihari is the king. So one Brahmin got a fruit from the Divine Mother, that those who will eat this fruit will get youth forever. So gave people, I am a Brahmin, what shall I do? Let me give this fruit to the king. Bhartrihari was thinking, this fruit if I eat, I am an old king, let my wife Anangosena, let her eat this fruit. He gave to Anangosena. Anangosena has a secret lover, the commander-in-chief. He gave to the secret lover. And he had another lover, another woman. In this way, it went one after another. And then he found that a hawker was carrying that fruit on the head. Then king saw that in the palace, called the hawker, how did you get it? Then whole chain was located, and the king left the throne, gave to his brother, and became a mendicant, and wrote 3 books, Vairagya Shatakam, 100 verses on renunciation, 100 verses on sensual life, and 100 verses on morality and ethics. That is the beautiful story of fourth theory. See, attachment. So after catching this attachment, what shall I do? Krishna says, Tata padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyaha tameva chadyam purusham prapadde yata pravrittihi prasrita purani. Then that goal is to be sought for, going where they, the wise, do not return again. I seek refuge in that primeval Purusha, whence streamed forth the eternal activity, cosmic process. So after cutting this attachment with the sword of attachment with the tree, the Maya, what shall I do? Tata padam tat parimargitavyam. You will have to seek. Jesus says, ask and ye shall receive. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. Parimargitavyam, you will have to seek. What shall I seek? Padam, the feet of the Lord, Vishnu, the Supreme Being, the goal, the reality. You see, in Upanishad also, quite often we say, Atha idamasmin brahmapure dharam punjarikaksham veshma dhaharasmin yat akasha tad anistebhya tad vijigashitebhya. Listen. In Brahmapur, in the city of Brahman, in the heart, there is a cavity. In that there is a space. Inside that space, what it is in that space, that you will have to sought for, that you will have to seek, that you will have to know. That is the Atman. In Munjaka Upanishad, we find another beautiful mantra. Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmano nirvedanayati nasti akrita kritina tad vigyanartam sagurume bhavigachyet samitpani shrutiyam brahmanishtam. A seeker of the truth of this Brahman, God, Purushottama, they discriminate through action. I cannot attain that immortality. No karmana, no prajaya, through progeny, no chejaya, through sacrifice, no dhanena, through money. Only through renunciation, non-attachment, I can attain immortality. So they discriminate. Then they go to a teacher. Samitpani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. He carries the sacrificial wood. That is called Shraddha. Goes to the Guru. Say Brahmanishta, Nora Brahman, that Guru will tell you how to attain that padam, how to attain that reality, how to attain that goal, how to attain God. This Maya is grinding all of us. In our village we saw how they make dal and they grind flour and all those things. Here is one piece of stone, round, another piece at the top, and here is the hole. There you put the corn and then you rotate. We do not have electricity in the village. Rotate. But there is some corn, some particles through manipulation will go in the middle knob. They will not be crushed. Otherwise, all these particles will be crushed and powder. That knob is God. Hold on that. Another example, when the fishermen go for fishing, they drop the net, but some fish, they stay near the feet of the fishermen, because net is not there, Maya is not there. So, check the feet of the Lord. Then Maya will not be able to catch you. One day Sri Ramakrishna told his disciples, you know, he put his finger like this. Maya is trapping everyone, but those who are around me, Maya does not touch them. They are very safe. Sometimes I call it is a Maya-free zone if you stay with Ramakrishna. There is no Maya. Maya will not be able to tempt you. But whose Maya is? God's Maya. He is playing. Come on, be trapped and run around. That Krishna says. Once that word, just mean Parimargitabhyam, just mean Gautama. After when you reach this speech, God, you will not have to come back. No nivartante bhuyam. You will never be under rebirth. Well, what is wrong to be born? Sri Ramakrishna says, do you know why? Because still you have desire. You have desire to enjoyment, for enjoyment. That is the reason you want to come back again and again. Look, Shankara says in the Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani, Jachari, Shayanam, Yodustare, Kolu, Kipapare. That Shankara says in the Charpachapanjarika Sotram. A birth, death, after birth, growth, disease, sickness, all these things you go through and then you die. So it will be, you will be recycled again and again. As long as you have desires, you will have to come back. There is no other way. As Holy Mother said, if you have a desire to eat a sandesh, you will have to come back. Anyhow, we have desires, so we will have to come back. Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye. Please watch these two words. There in the previous verse he says, take the axe, cut it. That is purushakar. That is self-effort. And now Krishna is telling, Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye, sharanagati. Take refuge. Take refuge that purusha. Purusham prapadye. I always say, self-effort and divine grace work together. It is like two blades of the scissors. If you want to cut the cloth, you need two blades. Purushakar and divine grace. Sharanagati. Sharanagati, prapadye, prapadye, prapadye. Krishna mentioned in the 7th chapter of the Gita, Devi esha gunamayi mama maya durattaya mame bhaje prapadyante mayametam tarantite. My Maya is divine, Devi, with three gunas. Extremely difficult to cross this Maya. But those who take shelter, refuge in me, I help them to cross this turbulent ocean of Maya. In another place, Krishna says, Mancha jo abhyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. which is in the 14th chapter of the Gita, with undivided devotion, those who worship me, love me, I help them to cross the three gunas and help them to attain this Brahman. We see God by God's grace. Without His grace, we cannot see God. Ashukti. Let me read the next verse. Nirvana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dandair vimukta sukha dukkha sangai gachanti amurha padamabhayam tat. Free from pride and delusion, with evil of attachment, conquered, ever dwelling in the self, with sensory desires completely receded, liberated from the pairs of opposites known as pleasure and pain, the undeluded reach that goal eternal. This verse for the monastics. Nirmana moha, man means ego, moha means delusion. Moha means my. I am attached to my husband, my wife, my children, my family, my home, my money. That is moha, or ego. I am. This I and my, as I say always, are the warp and woof of Maya. If there is no I and my, there is no world. This I and my, you see, the past manifestation of Maya is I. Aham, aham, aham. This I and my are the net of Maya, where all these human beings are trapped. These are the methods of practicing the path of knowledge. Nirmana moha. There is no ego, no delusion. Jita sanga dosha, free from attachments, free from the evil of attachments. Even the monks have attachments. I shall tell you a story. Swami Chetanananda was going to Gangotri on foot. See, in 1890s perhaps. And another monk also was going with him. He's a little elderly monk. He has a big backpack full of some food and some other stuff. And he had some money. So it was evening in the Himalayan range. It was raining. And it was hard for that monk to move further. Swami Chetanananda says, you have money, shall I bring some people, Janji, they will carry you. Oh, no, I shall not just spend my money. I have many things. But you cannot walk. Then he collapsed on the street, on the road. So Chetanananda went to the village, brought some people, and said, please help. Well, you will have to give us money. Well, I have no money. Then he said, all right, I have a blanket, I am giving blanket to you, please come help and take this monk to a nearest inn. So Chetanananda, they came and carried him and took him to the nearest inn in the village, and they made fire, and that night that monk died. Then the villagers brought the police. Police said, what are the police confiscated the whole belongings? Then Chetanananda says, I want my blanket back. They said, no, Well, I give my blanket, please take this money and pay these two persons who carried him, and I want my blanket back. So they gave him the blanket back. What will they do, that monk? These villagers one villager took his 2 hands and 2 feet, and they swing and threw into the Ganges. That is called attachment of the monk. Easily he could save his life. Attachment for money brought destruction, death for him. Jita Sangha dosha. Adhyatma nitya. Adhyatma nitya means ganabhash. These monks, the followers of path of knowledge, they practice Gyananistha. It is in Yoga-Vasishta Ramayana. Tat chintanam, tat kathanam, anyanam, tat pratibodhanam, etadeka pratatvancha gyanabhyasam vidur buddha. 3 things. Tat chintanam, they think about this Brahman, God, all the time. Tat kathanam, they talk about it. Annannam tat pratibodhanam, they talk and clear their doubts and misunderstanding through discussion. This is the way one should practice the path of knowledge, Gyananistha. Adhyatma nitya. Vinivritta kama. There are vinivritta kama. How many kama? How many desires you have? The Vedantins know there are 3 desires. Lokishana, Putrishana, Vittishana. Desire for name and fame. Desire for progeny, sex. Desire for money, wealth. These 3 desires are controlling the whole world. All of the desires are all incorporated in these 3 desires. So he vinivritta kama, he becomes free from, try to make themselves free from desire. Dvandva vimukta sukha dukkha sangoi. Dvandva, duality. This world is nothing but duality. Thesis, antithesis. Duality, good and bad, good and evil, pleasure and pain, happiness, misery. This is called cold and heat. All these things are duality. So this person is above duality. Look what Krishna says. Matra sparshasya kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada agama apaino anitya tang sthiti shwasya bharata. Listen, Arjuna, this happiness and misery comes through the contact of the senses and the sense objects. Do you know what I mean? If the contact is favorable, it will give you happiness. If it is unfavorable, it will give you misery. It is all contact between the senses and the sense objects. Agama, apaino, they come and go. They come and go. So, tang sthiti shasya bharata. So forbear, forbear, forbear. That's Krishna says. If Krishna knew any secret of get rid of misery, easily he could tell Arjuna. This is the way. Dandai vimukta sukha dukkha sangoi. Gachanti, they attain. Amura. Amura means the undeluded, luminous persons. Attains that supreme reality. I remember one Swami mentioned, he practiced one verse of the Gita. I think it is chapter 5, verse 3rd, I think. Gimasa nitya sannasi, yona deshti na kangshati, nirdando hi mahabaho, sukham bandhat pramuchati. Know him, nitya sannasi, he is a real, eternally, a renouncer. Who not deshti, not kangshati, who never hates anybody, never desires for anything. Nirdando, he mahabaho, he is beyond the pairs of opposites. He mahabaho, he Arjuna, sukham bandhat pramuchate. He gets released from this maya easily. That monk says, I practice that verse in my life. You know, Gita is a very, very practical scriptures, very practical scriptures. Nirmanava, it is many people's do you know what? These people, these Amura, these illumined souls, they go on the top of the mountain. And from there they see this whole world. And they see how people are suffering. And this Praggo is above the Shoka and Moha, delusion and grief and desire and doubt. They are the torch bearers. They are the lighthouse. These illumined souls show us the way. So this Gyanar Sadhan, these disciplines of the knowledge, and what will you achieve from the practicing that knowledge of Brahman, that Krishna mentioned in this verse. It's a beautiful verse. Nirmana moha jita sangha dosha. Many monks repeat this verse. Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha. Dandoi vimukta sukha dukkha sangai. Gachanti amura padam abhayatat. This is the way we can reach God. So we started that we'll have to cut that tree of Maya, Ashwatha tree, with sharp axe of renunciation, and then surrender to God, and then you will attain this highest stage by following Krishna's instructions. Thank you. Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mritturma amritam gamaya, abirabirma yedhi, rudrajatte dakshinamukam, tinamam pahi nityam, om shanti shanti shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from death to immortality, light us through and through, and guide us evermore with thy loving presence. Peace, peace, peace be told. Next Sunday, our topic will be, O Mother, protect us. That was the Holy Mother's anniversary service.